Hey everybody, it's Adrian from Zanza's Toys. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and a great new year. And you're as excited as I am about the prospect of 2022 being at least a little bit better than 2021. We, like many people, were visiting family for the holidays, which meant we were in the suburbs of Chicago, which meant in turn that we got some heavy snow. I figured what better to do while snowed in than to make some 1/18 scale fun to share with all of y'all. So I made a sled. Vintage sled, if your figures want to go have some fun in the snow, or if they just need to reclaim a bit of their youth. So this went together pretty easily. I just used my my standard approach of finding some references online. I started with an eBay listing for a sled. eBay listings are often great because they have just the object and for many different views. So I brought that into my custom measuring tool that I've used a bunch of times before and talked about on this channel before. Got a bunch of measurements, went into FreeCAD, and just made the parts. There wasn't anything that complicated or really that interesting about the CAD aspect, but I'm really happy with how it turned out. Okay, so let's look at how this goes together. So there's 5 parts all together. I recommend printing these 2 in wood or some bright color if you want like a painted wood. And then these 3, the blade, 2 of the blade and 1 of the front. I recommend printing in like black or maybe a silver, something that looks like metal. Okay, so with that, let's actually put it together. So first thing I'm going to do is just you'll notice that the body of the sled has 2 little indentations at one side, and those are for this part. So I'm just going to snap that in. Whether or not it snaps depends a little bit on the tolerances of your machine and how the print came out. It generally seems to hold itself at least a little bit, but it's going to be more secure in just a second. So if it's not holding too tightly, don't worry about it too much just yet. And then what I'm going to do is get one of the blades. So there's 2 cutouts on the blade, and that snaps into this part. So this just snaps right on. So I'm going to put that on and kind of press it in a bit. Like so. So you should see something like that. And once you've got that, it should hold this front together as well. So I'm going to do that on the other side as well. Just kind of lined up, snap it in. You might want to put it down on a flat surface and kind of use a little bit of force. Okay, now that we've got that, it's all still pretty loose, but what I'm going to do is just take a little bit of super glue and reinforce all these joints. So I'm going to get my super glue. Just a little tube, nothing fancy. And I'm going to go through and just put a little dot where things connect, and then let it work in via capillary action. So I use this approach all the time when joining stuff. CA glue works great with PLA plastic, and it's thin enough that you can really rely quite a bit on capillary action to just kind of let it soak into the joint. Okay. If the front is loose, you can pull down just a little bit in this direction, like that, which will force it back up against the body of the sled. So I'm going to let that set up a little bit. Okay, and once that's set up, all that's left is to add this part. So full disclosure, I know very little about sleds. I grew up in New Orleans where there's never any snow. So I'm sure this has a name. I don't know what it is though. So if you do know, please leave a comment. I think this is how you steer it, right? I don't know. Like I said, I don't know anything about snow. So what I'm going to do is just glue this on. So I'm going to put a tiny drop of super glue on these 2 cutouts here. And then just drop that onto the front. Snap that on. Make sure it's nicely aligned. And there we go. 1/118 scale sled. At the start of the video, you saw this guy sledding down, and you might wonder how that was working. So just full disclosure, while figures can sit on this, they're not likely to stay on their own. So what I did to get this to work is I just used a little bit of this tack, adhesive tack. You can get this at kind of any office supply store or drugstore or whatever. And it's the stuff that's made for tacking posters to walls. So if you get just a little bit of it, what's nice about it is that it's a reasonably strong and temporary joint. So it's just it's just kind of tacky. It's like a piece of gum. So if you work it a little bit, if you try to put it on directly, it's not likely to be very sticky. But if you work it into a little bit and work it a little bit, it gets nice and gummy. And you can take a little bit of that and just kind of put it on the back. Like that. And if I get a figure, let's get a figure. So let's say this guy wants to go sledding. So I'll bend his knees, get him sitting up, and I'm going to press the back of the figure into the blue tack stuff. And that'll hold him reasonably secure, and without damaging either the sled or your figure. So that's about it for this video. This is actually the first of 2 videos that I'll be releasing about some snow-themed 3D printable 1/18 scale fun. Look out for that next week. And in the meantime, if you want to make one of these for yourself, I'll have a link down below to the files for free. And if you want to see more 3D printable toys and 1/18 scale fun, please do like, comment, share, subscribe. All that stuff really matters a lot, and it helps me continue to make this stuff for all y'all. So thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.